there may not know that the substance that was found in the White House this weekend was cocaine. Test results have shown that this is the fact. Now, we should note that President Biden and his family were away from the White House when this was found.
Well, we know that it was found over the weekend. They were out. The first family was, according to a law enforcement official. It was found in an area that's heavily trafficked in the White House, which means that it could have been a number of different universes of people who brought in the substance. A law enforcement official told us that because it's in a heavily trafficked area, it makes it unlikely that they'll find out who the culprit is unless that person does come forward. Obviously, this is not something that I think a White House wants to have happen. Probably not going over well.
And my face, Sam, is kind of like, a heavily trafficked area, so we can't find out. There are cameras everywhere at the White House.
Yes.
There are cameras everywhere at the White House.
Yeah, so I am a little bit skeptical that it's going to end up without anyone being found, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, this is not something the White House wants to have happen. They are deflecting questions, as I expected they would, and saying that the Secret Service is the one that will be overseeing the investigation into the matter. And so we are waiting to see what they uncover here.
What are you hearing about the investigation?
Yeah, what Sam just laid out is actually right. It's completely right. You were seeing people dodge. You saw Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, say the Secret Service is handling this. We are not doing this investigation. We are not. She wouldn't answer questions about whether or not they were giving White House aides to talk to the Secret Service as they were doing the investigation. She wouldn't talk about whether or not how President Biden would feel at the end of this investigation if someone were to be found, an aide or an official in the White House, to get that person to that person get fired or whatever. So they're dodging a lot because there's not much known. We're at the very beginning of it. They are saying the Secret Service is handling it. They obviously have feelings. I know that you know Joe Biden, so the face and the words that he used when they told him this while he was exactly.
I'm sure it was interesting to say the least.
Exactly.
We'll be watching this. I will just note for folks at home that when you fill out the form at the White House, if you put down that you have used substances such as cocaine, that is something that you can be barred from working at the White House for.
And in an even more deranged post, Trump made completely unhinged claims against the Biden family regarding a truly bizarre occurrence, a small bag of cocaine found in the White House. Yes, we live in that timeline, about which he went after Hunter Biden, of course, and referred to Jack Smith as a crackhead, which I promise you he is not. And no, I'm not making this up.
Cocaine found in the West Wing doesn't help, does it, Jake?
No, it does not. Although we don't know where that came from. The president did not answer a question about that today. But the Washington Post, Katie, is reporting that it was found in an area that's highly trafficked, not using a pun, by tourists and guests of the White House.
Michael, you can imagine somebody just sweating right now about what they may have left behind. That's all I can think about this weekend is who must be sweating, thinking that, oh, my God, what did I do? To have the Secret Service come in and have to test it, take it out and test it at a lab again and have it be part of the news cycle for multiple days. Gosh.
Yeah, I know that. I know they're sitting there going, I just thought I'd just get a little lift at work. Well, yeah, not so much.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I know there were issues with this during the Carter administration, but certainly nothing recently.
It is, and nothing recently that we know of or that's been reported the way this has. So, I mean, we act like this is such a, sacrosanct space. Well, Donald Trump has disapproved us of that notion that just how sacrosanct the White House can be at times, whether, it's individual behavior or the president's behavior himself. All of that makes for the news cycle.
I think we have a long history of presidents maybe not using the White House in the most, most upstanding ways.
Yeah, this is true. But my point is about the news itself.
Yeah.
And the fact is that it is one more piece that's added to an emerging narrative that sets up the conversation that the president's opponents want to have this fall. Everybody wants to link the cocaine to his son. Everybody wants to link, the incompetencies of his secretaries to the administration, and therefore we're going to impeach them. So you have these narratives politically setting up, even to the extent that it is manufactured in the case of impeaching the president himself or a member of his cabinet.
And we're following the developing story of a small amount of cocaine found at the White House over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right, Andrea. As the story was breaking yesterday and everyone was trying to discern the facts behind it, there was a lot of attention being paid to a publicly available recording online of a transmission between D.C. fire personnel who were part of the team that responded to this report of a suspicious powder. During the course of those communications, there was a reference in the recording to a library. Now, frankly, a lot of those in the public who listen to this, and unfortunately perhaps too many journalists who are also reporting on this, took a leap from the invocation of library in this recording to mean that that was where in the West Wing or in the White House generally this item was found. Now, as we have been reporting, our sources are telling us that this was located in a highly trafficked common area of the West Wing where especially those who are coming for visits or even tours might have been asked to leave some of their personal belongings. Library, as we understand it in the context of this transmission, was referring specifically to the protocol involved in testing the powder that was there and the basis in which it was initially in this preliminary field screening determined to be cocaine. So library was more about the sample that was being studied and not about the location in which it was found.
In Washington this morning, the Secret Service is investigating how a small amount of suspected cocaine was found inside the White House. On Sunday night, employees briefly were evacuated after a white powdery substance was discovered.
And getting back to the investigation here at the White House, sources we've been talking to say that it could take several days for the conclusive test on the substance to come back. Again, it was a preliminary field test, and now a lab test will confirm if it was in fact cocaine, and then trying to determine who put it in that common space inside a secure area. One of the questions is, although it was found Sunday night, they don't know how long it had been there. And so there are a lot of questions remaining and more work to do for the Secret Service. Willie?
Certainly a bizarre story, and as you say, the Secret Service is on it this morning. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell live at the White House for us. Kelly, thanks so much.
We have one more story for you tonight. The right-wing conspiracy machine is fired up over a bag of cocaine found at the White House last weekend, but that is not the only coke to find itself at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We are going to get into a brief history of presidential drugs right after the break. The right wing is having an absolute field day after a baggie of white powder, which a lab test confirmed was cocaine, was found in the White House on Sunday. Now, there is absolutely no evidence to suggest that President Joe Biden or his son Hunter have anything to do with this.
Ryan, stay with me for a moment. We do have some breaking news that we're following, some new reporting on the small baggie of cocaine found in the White House. What more can you tell us about this, Ryan?
Yeah, Ron, Kelly O'Donnell reports that it's possible that we might not even get to learn who actually brought this small baggie is. So I'm sure that's a sigh of relief to whoever sort of made the boneheaded move of bringing a bag of cocaine to the White House. But because this was in a, not an area that, is highly trafficked, but wasn't necessarily covered by cameras all that well, it's an area that a decent amount of people had access to. It just makes that investigation a little bit difficult. So, this could all end without, necessarily anyone being named as the person who was responsible for bringing that bag of cocaine to the White House.
Boneheaded is putting it lightly, Ryan Riley. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back at the White House, a forensic lab test has confirmed that the white powdery substance found in a dime-sized bag Sunday evening at the White House indeed is cocaine. The Secret Service now is investigating to determine who brought that drug into the White House. The bag will be examined for DNA and fingerprints.
With regards to Merrick Garland, before they broke for July recess, a lot of Republicans were threatening to impeach Garland over allegations from IRS whistleblowers that the Justice Department improperly interfered in the criminal probe of Hunter Biden. And Kevin McCarthy himself, who is normally, taken a reasonable approach when it comes to potential impeachment proceedings, has said that he would be open to impeaching Garland if these allegations prove true. And so the big picture here, Fred, is really that we are heading into the period where all of the oxygen in Washington is going to be focused on the 2024 election cycle. And these House investigations are really aimed at pushing Democrats and messaging against Democrats as we head into that cycle.